The new selection pack, Maliss in Wonderland, whatever you guys want to call it, is going to introduce Maliss as the next top tier Yu-Gi-Oh strategy in Master Duel. Some of you guys, Master Duel players, are probably wondering, what does this deck do and how to counter it? Well, in today's video, we're going to be talking about everything you need to know and its impact it will have on Master Duel. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, Vic Dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that's your day. Gotta do it another time. Phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. So the Maliss archetype, guys, I know some people are saying it's going to be the best deck in Master Duel, hands down. It's going to be tier 0. And I think that there's some really good things that Maliss has coming for it in Master Duel. And then there's some other things that aren't so great. Of course, we have to break down the entire deck before I give you guys my final thoughts. But if this is done correctly, there will be timestamps. So Maliss is a combination of two things. Alice in Wonderland and chess. You kind of combine both of those. And the deck is primarily built on being able to banish monsters to be able to special summon themselves to the side of the field. Now, the main deck monsters require 300 life points, and the extra deck cards require 900 life points to bring them back or gain their effects. But it's a really good Cyber's deck. And let's start off with Maliss P. Dormouse. The hidden effect of these Maliss cards, which sometimes I even struggle with, is that they all have effects when they point to a Maliss Link monster. Like, for example, when Dormouse is pointing to a Link monster, Maliss Link monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects. That's actually huge. But this card's main function is that when it is summoned, it can banish a Maliss monster from your deck, which allows you to trigger your other Maliss monsters to summon themselves to the side of the field or gain their effects. Also, all Maliss monsters have the effect that if they're banished, you pay 300 life points and most of them bring themselves back. You should play as many copies of Maliss P. Dormouse as possible inside of your deck. I'm not sure if it's going to be limited to 1, if you guys are actually going to have 3 copies, but whatever is allotted, we're playing that many copies. Next is Maliss P. White Rabbit, because this is the other strongest card in the deck. Hypothetically, if both of these cards are semi-limited, you're going to have 4 really good normal summons, plus cards like Signet Mining and other things to be able to potentially search it. But what Maliss P. White Rabbit does is that you take no battle damage from battles involving your Maliss Link cards that it points to. But the best effect about it is that if it's summoned, you get to set 1 Maliss Trap card from your deck with a different name from the cards that is in your graveyard. Of course, it has the exact same effect. When it's banished, you pay 300, you bring it back. Chessy Cat isn't as strong, but make no mistake, Chessy Cat is not bad whatsoever. It says any Maliss monster destroyed by battle with a Maliss Link monster is banished instead, one that points to it. The best thing about Maliss, or Chessy Cat, is that she can banish 1 Maliss card in your hand to be able to draw 2 cards. So these are the main monsters that we were initially introduced with inside of the set. And these cards are incredibly powerful because all 3 of them have the effect that when they're banished, you pay 300 life points, you summon them back. For Chessy Cat, it's always been debatable. Do you run 1? Do you run 2? Do you run 3? You can get away with just running 1 copy of Chessy Cat, but if I'm being honest with you guys, this is probably going to be the rare, while the other 2 are going to be the ultra rare. So, like, I mean, do what you got to do to be able to make your Maliss deck work. Now, I'm pretty confident that you guys will be getting the second wave of Maliss support alongside of your Maliss deck, but even if you aren't, you will be able to come back to this and then, you know, see these new cards and what they do. How do we stop Maliss cards? Called by the Grave? Called by the Grave is an effective solution, and of course we will talk about that after I talk about what the cards and what they do. So sit tight. Maliss March Hare is like a Bestial. It also says Maliss cards that point to it can't be destroyed by card effects. But this card's a little bit different. It's like a Bestial. This card is absolutely amazing because not only is it a Maliss monster by name, an extension Yu-Gi-Oh card, it also allows you to be able to trigger Maliss monsters on your opponent's turn, which is huge for the deck. Of course, if it's banished, you can pay 300 life points. but instead of special summoning itself, it adds a banished Maliss monster back into your hand. So it's pretty good for recursion, and if you play the deck right, you'll be able to get a lot of effects going. The Bestial monsters work incredible with these, and it's mainly because Link 1 monsters have really screwed us over. There's actually quite a few good Link 1 monsters in Master Duel, one being Link Decoder, which is ridiculous for this deck. It's essentially 2 summons. Link Goribo is good for being able to get around cards like Evenly Matched. Let me show you guys this guy. This guy is insane. Basically what you do is you summon your Maliss P Dormouse. Dormouse can banish White Rabbit. White Rabbit summons itself to the side of the field and gets a trap card. Then, hypothetically, if you wanted to go this route, you could link immediately into Link Decoder, use your Bestial monster to banish your Maliss monster, and you get 4 monsters off of 1 normal summon. That's just to show you the power of this deck. Technically 5 monsters, because how Link Decoder operates if you do it correctly. Off of 1 normal summon, 5 monsters, and that's why the deck is so powerful. But the trap cards are just as insane. The trap cards all have one effect. They can be activated the turn they are set by banishing a Maliss monster. With GW06 does is that it allows you to be able to special summon a Maliss monster that is in your graveyard or banished. Then if you control the Link monster, you get to gain attack. So you'll be able to get all of those life points that you were paying right back by having a Maliss Link monster. MTP07 allows you to be able to add a Maliss monster from your deck to your hand, and if you control the Link monster, you can banish a monster or a card on the field. Really, really insane. And TB11 allows you, it special summons a Maliss monster from the deck, right? Or if your opponent controls 3 or more cards, you can special summon Maliss Link monster from your extra deck instead. So these cards are really good for being able to extend. The most important thing is how many do you run? Well, you don't need more than 1 of either copy, and a lot of the builds in the TCG really only play MTP07, but some will be caught playing GW06. Not a lot play TB11 anymore. But these cards are really, really, really good and important for the Maliss deck to be able to disrupt the opponent and continue to go further. Maliss Underground allows you to be able to banish a Maliss monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. It can't be Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring because it's not adding the Maliss, it's banishing the Maliss. And then if you control 3 Maliss Trap cards with different names that are banished, your Maliss monsters gain 3,000 attack. Now, don't get me wrong, that probably never comes up. But while you control the Maliss Link monster, your opponent's monster can only target Maliss Link monsters for attacks. That 100% will come up Master Duel, and there are going to be a lot of people that will be upset because they have to attack into the Maliss Link monsters first. Maliss in the Mirror. I'm standing in the Maliss in the Mirror. Target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Banish 1 Maliss monster from your hand or face-up field, and then you get to negate that monster's effects. Keep in mind, it is a quick effect. If this card is banished, you can target 1 Maliss card in your graveyard, banish it, and if you do, add 1 Maliss card, monster, spell, or trap, from your deck to your hand with the same type. This card is absolutely insane. Fortunately, you play as many Maliss in Underground as you can. You play only 1 Maliss in the Mirror. There are 3 extra deck Maliss cards that are incredibly insane. One is Maliss Q Heart's Cryptor. The Q is for Queen. This card requires 3 monsters, including a Maliss monster, so a little bit harder to bring out. And then it allows you to be able to quick effect, return a banished Maliss card to be able to banish 1 card on the field, which is another insane card. Like, this deck almost has no bad cards. That's pretty much unheard of for Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes to have absolutely no bad cards. At every given time, every single one of these Maliss cards that we are talking about were played in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And can translate to Master Duel, right? If it points to a monster, its activation can't be negated. And then, if it's banished, unlike the other Maliss monsters, you pay 900 life points to summon this card back, but it gains double its attack. So this card is the boss monster of Maliss, and considering that it can double its attack, it can get rid of cards, and it's pretty strong. This is normally your game winner, but that doesn't mean cards like Access Code Talker aren't really summonable inside of this deck either. Keep in mind, it is a Cyberse Yu-Gi-Oh deck. There's Maliss Q Red Ransom. This card points to a monster. The original attack and defense of all effect monsters your opponent controls are switched. If this card is spell summoned, you can add one Maliss spell card from your deck to your hand. When it's banished, you can pay 900 life points to special summon it, then banish a Cyberse monster from your deck. This card is the one that gets you into your Maliss spell cards. Next and last one is the strongest Maliss card. I think if Maliss Q Whitebinder were banned, Maliss would still be a strong deck, but it would not be over the top, right? It wouldn't be crazy good. The reason why Maliss Q Whitebinder is so strong is that it can target 3 cards in any graveyard and banish it when it is special summoned. So when you summon this guy, you can disrupt your opponent's graveyard. Then when you bring it back, you can disrupt your opponent's graveyard again. Or you can use it to banish your opponent's graveyard as well as your cards in your graveyard and get your Maliss effects while disrupting the graveyard. Now the cool thing is that when this card is banished, it gets special summoned and you get to draw a card. That get to draw a card effect is actually a weakness with this card. It's actually, we gotta thank our lucky stars that this card says draw a card, because it's actually easy to be able to manipulate. Some other cards that Maliss players will use: Link Decoder, we've already talked about it. Splash Mage requires 2 Cyberse monsters, locks the deck into Cyberse, but that kind of doesn't matter, but allows the deck to be able to overextend. There is another monster called Haggard Lizardos. This card allows you to be able to banish a Maliss monster in the graveyard, so easy to get Maliss monsters back. Oftentimes you'll see them make Haggard Lizardos before they even touch Splash Mage, and it's simply because this card is a lot easier to manage. They do tend to make Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid in the earlier stages. This was a really good card because it can send cards like Myriolic Aggregator to be able to negate, and you can send Cyberse D-Save Worm to get a free spell and trap card disruption. This card was pretty strong. You're right, Cyberse Wicket was also a pretty decent card because this card allowed you to be able to get a tuner. Fortunately enough, I don't think we're getting backup Ignister or Wizard at Ignister, which is going to make this deck a little bit different, right? Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess is currently not banned in Master Duel. This deck can make Appaloosa, so in theory, this deck will be completely different from its TCG counterpart just because of this card. It'll be a little bit less vulnerable to cards like Nibiru Primal Being. If I remember correctly, there's like 100% a line in my head where you make this card in 4 summons, and then you go full Maliss combo. So I'm confident there's that. And Firewall Dragon is crazy cool. The only problem with Firewall Dragon is that this deck is primarily a dark Yu-Gi-Oh deck, right? So the card that you're typically going to want to play, Dominus Impulse. This card was seen in a lot of rogue Yu-Gi-Oh strategies, not in some of the best decks in the game, but is crazy strong in this deck because it's primarily a dark Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And players have stopped playing cards like Dotscaper inside of their Maliss deck because of it. But to be honest with you guys, we don't have the extenders like Backup Ignister and Wizard at Ignister. The Bestial monsters are still there. It's going to be really interesting to see how this pans out, depending on where the limitations of Dormouse and White Rabbit are. I don't think that there is a single world where Konami drops this set and these cards are both at 3. It just does not make sense to me. They've done it for Fiendsmith. They've done it for so many other strategies in the game where they're preemptively hit. There is no way in my mind where they allow us to play full-powered Maliss, no problemos, without any type of restriction or them knowing something, right? So, you guys are probably wondering, now that we've seen all this, and you guys have been asking this question, Cali, how do I counter Maliss? Well, Maliss isn't great in the TCG because Maliss sucks. If I'm being so honest with you guys, Maliss sucks. The biggest reason why Maliss sucks is because every single Yu-Gi-Oh strategy is sideboarding these 3 cards. I want you guys to think of Maliss like Brandon. Maliss is incredibly good, but it has counters that literally wreck the deck. Now, here's where it sets us apart in Master Duel. The difference between Branded being a strong deck, but kind of like in a perfect balance and Maliss not, is because every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck is playing Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring no matter what. Not every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck could even afford to play Artifact Lancia. What are we Lancia? Are we just gonna lose every single time we play against a non-banish reliant deck because we have to mainboard Lancia? The odds are probably no. So already off the bat, not mainboarding Lancias and not mainboarding Chaos Hunters immediately makes Maliss stronger. Considerably stronger, right? Imperial Iron Wall is also another good counter card against this deck, but again, I think it would be pretty foolish to use these cards inside of our main deck. They're just not going to be feasible unless we're in a situation where we're in a tournament and we know Maliss is tier 0, right? So the counters to Maliss is not going to be as prevalent, right? And I think that's going to boost the popularity. We also talked about how Nibiru is not as strong as a card either. So what can we do to counter Maliss? Well, Ghost Bell in Haunted Mansion is a fairly good card. You can use it to be able to stop bestial monsters in a pinch. It's great against Called by the Grave. It also prevents GW06 from being activated. This is one of the most threatening cards that Maliss players can use. And it can stop March Hare. Our only problem here is that if Maliss makes Appaloosa on their inboard, Appaloosa plus GW06 means that you have to have something to counter Appaloosa, and then you have to have something to counter GW06. Mathematically, that is not going to be a winning strategy most of the time. If you have Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, save this card exclusively for Maliss Q White Binder's effect to summon itself back to the side of the field. Don't use it on Signet Mining. For the love of God, please do not use it on a Lore of Darkness. Please don't use it on a Lore of Darkness. We are never ashing in a Lore of Darkness, okay? Don't use it on those cards. Save it for Maliss Q White Binder's effect to bring herself back. Red Reboot is also closer to these cards than it is to, some other situations, right? Red Reboot not only stops GW06, but it also plays around Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. I think that Red Reboot is probably our card, especially considering that most Yu-Gi-Oh players play Infinite Impermanence in their deck too. So it has relevance, more relevance than playing Artifact Lancia. The only difference is this card isn't as strong. And like we said before, Maliss builds can actually get away with not playing GW06. It's a card that you have to prepare for. It's really weird. And again, it also really depends on what exact version of Maliss, what extra cards are we going to get, and what cards are being hit. If you're using Infinite Impermanence, this is a tough one, all right? Infinite Impermanence and Effect Veiler are pretty good against the Maliss monsters. Here's where it becomes problematic, though. A smart Yu-Gi-Oh player will set a card face down and then normal summon a Maliss. Why? Because if they normal summon the Maliss, you activate Infinite Impermanence, and they chain the MTP07, you are going to look like a bad one. I ain't gonna lie. It's one of those situations where you probably just go to the corner screen, you click on that, and you get that red button at the bottom. It could feel that bad. But seeing that most Maliss players only play one MTP07, GW6 is not a real card in the opening stages, and good Maliss players will probably not play TB11. It's almost like a 10% chance they have it. I think personally, we still imperm and Effect Veiler these cards on summon. We just have to until they force us to respect it. Molchummy, Flawless, and Maxi are going to be crazy good cards about this. We're going to get a ton of cards in our hands, but we still got to break the board. We still have to break the board. So thinking that just Flawless and Maxi are going to be the wave isn't going to be the wave. I think if they normal summon White Rabbit and Dormouse, it is a good imperm target. If they normal summon Chessy Cat, let them use Chessy Cat's effect. Let them, right? Because Chessy Cat will probably banish one of these, and it does increase the opportunity to draw Call by the Grave and stuff like that. But if you stop this card and they proceed to steal combo, oh my God, you're gonna feel like a Batman. That's all I'm saying. You're gonna feel like a Batman. You're going to be cooked. Maliss is going to be one of those decks where you are going to be upset against because the strategy is going to feel like it has an out. It's going to feel like it doesn't have a right situation to stop. And unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, get ready, because that's what Yu-Gi-Oh is going to be about. Some people call it skill. I don't know what to call it at this point in time, right? I'm not sure if I want to put all my eggs in that basket, but that is everything you need to know about Maliss from your boy, TheCaliEffect himself, right? If you guys have any questions, go ahead and join us on Twitch. Unfortunately, I might be forced to build this deck myself, but who knows? If you guys want to see more amazing content, go ahead and check out these videos so I can catch you on the next one. Also, be sure to check my Duel challenges out on the main channel, because that'll help you learn Maliss a little bit more.